Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on December 1st, 2021 at approximately 12:32 p.m. PST. Things are definitely taking an interesting turn. Just got some more paperwork, some more contracts and what have you signed today. As I said, the trick to turning this world around is to straighten your own life out first. Now, the intriguing part of all of this, yeah, I'm leaning forward. Back's killing me and I got a pillow behind it. Anyway, I came back to this world for one reason, one primary reason, and that is to spread one simple message. Okay, working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. But in order to do that, we are going to have to work together. And that means all entities in existence, not just humans, not just one color of people, not just one species. Okay, everybody. And this was tried several centuries back. But there were two things, overlooked. One is one particular group of people was left believing that they were the chosen people. And the reality is they weren't. They were simply the first. And yes, I know that is going to upset some people because some of you undoubtedly see yourselves as chosen. But picture this. You're walking into a room with a whole pile of different people. Different walks of life, different income brackets. And somebody comes into the room. Somebody very, not really all that well known at the time, comes into the room and comes and talks to you first. Runs into you, just picks you out of a crowd and talks to you. Years later, this individual turns out to be somebody phenomenally advanced. For instance, picture, if you will, take somebody that is well known today in the public world. Okay. And let's just pick any president. I'm not going to put a name. Any president, prime minister, take your pick. This young man comes into a room full of a whole pile of people, very, not really well known, may have been seen in some of the bigger circuits, okay, in some of the bigger groups of people. But he comes in and talks to you and starts sharing his ideals with you. Years later, this individual becomes extremely well known, aka rises in rank to become the leader of a church, a politician, a president, a owner of a major company. Becomes something really big. Now, you talked to him years before. Okay, you and some of your friends talked to him years before. Now, does this mean you were chosen by him, or were you just the first person he stopped to talk to? Okay, now when this maneuver was tried centuries back, that was where the mistake was made. Was the people that saw themselves as chosen were not corrected. They were left believing they were the chosen people. Now, I'm a pretty simple individual. Okay, I look at everybody exactly the same way. I don't see a functional difference between people that are living on the street and people that are living in major mansions. But here's the thing I do notice. The ones that are living on the street, more often than not, are genuinely closer to the other people living on the street than the millionaires are that are around other multimillionaires. Now, this leads me to question the issue of which group of people are the wealthy people. But before I get sidetracked any further, okay, when it was tried centuries back, that little miscalculation was left untended. So people over the centuries came to believe they were better than other people, and there is not a soul on the planet. Sorry to disappoint you, but there is not a soul on the planet that is better than the next person. Sure, you may have skills that are more effective. I am not the best there is at handling money by any functional stretch, But I do look at money in a different fashion, and I have startled people that have been trained with it because of the way I look at it. But what ended up happening was this group of people was left believing they were better than everybody else. And this ended up expanding into now people look at the material world or their station in life and they go, I hold this better station. That makes me better than you. Okay, I was talking to somebody the other day, and I'm pretty certain you understand this. Uh-oh. I have to check something. I don't have my glasses on. Oh, good. We are recording. I thought for a minute there it had stopped. Anyway, I was talking to somebody the other day, and this is where society has gotten to. And this, I hate that word. This is what society has devolved to. Okay. I was talking to a member of the blind community. And society has gotten so bad that in the blind community, okay, and I see this in all sorts of communities, but I'll start with the blind. In the blind community, people that are fully blind are separated from people that are partially blind. Okay, even though they have to utilize the same implant, the same tools, the same accessories. Okay, and people, if you take a look at the gay society, people are separated there. I heard one person state quite literally, because they had a child, they could not be gay. Now, bad news for you. Anybody can have a child, like any female can have a child, and apparently science figured out how to get men to carry a child. I'm not interested in it. The point being, we have to stop separating ourselves. Yes, you have to look at each person as an individual. But just because you're an individual does not make you better than the next. The size of your pocketbook does not determine whether or not you're a better individual. What religion what church you go to, what temple you go to does not make you a better person. Okay. And, I was talking to one person and it was really kind of comical. They were talking about how my generation, I'm 58 years old, how my generation has left this world in a disaster. But here's the thing that they overlook. Now, this was a young kid somewhere in his mid-20s to, maybe early 30s. Right? And the thing he overlooked, and you may have as well, is certainly my generation made some pretty serious mistakes, not the least of which is letting the educational system collapse. I cannot blame the 25, 30-year-olds for that. It was my generation that screwed that one up. Sadly, guys, it's up to you to straighten it out. But yes, I do have ideas on how to pull that off, but it's going to take work. But this individual was complaining about the state the world was in because of what we did. Well, here's the thing. When I was growing up, we didn't have plastic grocery bags. We had paper ones. And paper, in case you hadn't noticed, degrades pretty quick. I mean, granted, if it gets wet, the bottom falls out of it. If a plastic bag gets wet, it doesn't. But on the other hand, it breaks down very quickly, and it's very easy to maneuver into something else. As you've seen, recycled paper now. You recycle paper. Plastic doesn't apparently recycle well. Okay, but I did hear of I think it's India, that is now taking recycled plastic and turning it into ropes, which I think is absolutely fantastic. This is one of the things that working together, we can turn this world back around. But the first mistake that was made centuries back was letting one group of people continue believing they were better than others. Okay. The other thing that was overlooked was the whole message was handed to humans, not one race, not one group of humans, but it was attempted to hand to all humans. Unfortunately, humans have a tendency to get a little overprotective and overly possessive. Net result, we ended up with a whole mess. Okay, but the race that was, or more to the point, the overall group that was missed was the aliens, the ancient races, the ones that came before man, what you may consider mythology. Okay, those races were not included in the discussion, at least not to the level that the humans were. Net result, things didn't work out. Okay, and we've gone from way back then, lots of people, and at that point, the reality was, and I've always been against war. I've always told people, and I do mean always, okay, war does not bring peace. War brings quiet. Because if everybody's shooting at everybody, you can bet your bottom dollar, if you're out there and you don't have a gun, you're going to go to ground. You're going to try and find protection for yourself. Well, the time has come to step out of the shadows and really start pushing the idea of working together. Now, it was really kind of comical. I found it funny. I was going through the Yldrbacian Chronicles I'm in the middle of writing. Okay, I've got 12 laid out, and I figured that was where it was going to end. And of course, getting 12 books out is going to be, quite seriously, about a 10-year run for me. I didn't know what it was going to do after that, except I started going I was starting to add to book 12, to really the third one that'll be coming out, but don't worry about the numbers for now. I will be posting on my Facebook page, on my Yldrbac page, just exactly how that's going on. That's actually, come to think of it, I should do that. I've got this neat little notepad here for making sure I do things in the right order. So I am simply making a note for myself that once I get through the other things today, either today or tomorrow, I don't know. I will post on my Yldrbac page on Facebook and explain what is really going on. But what I was going to mention here is while I was working on the Return to Paradise, I had written something already in it that clearly states that there is another series that I will put together once the Yldrbacian Chronicles is complete, as in all 12 books. Well, really, there'll be all 12 books, Jeremiah's Journal, and the Compendium that all have to come out. When they're out, which is about a decade down the road, okay, there is another series I will be able to go with, which will start off with the rebirth of Yldrbac. Now, that is, the reintroduction of him. The funny part about that is I'm not going to go into him right now, but if you read the Yldrbacian Chronicles, Yldrbac will become a very obvious character. Okay, that's where the information on him is, and for the time being, that's where it's going to stay. I'm not dealing with that right here. But in order to make all of this happen, we have to start working together. We cannot, well, we could. It is not effective to stay on the path we're currently on. Society is in serious trouble, and it's up to you as individuals to straighten that out. Now, can one person make a difference? Absolutely. Lord knows I've gone through my life helping people, but that little bit of help for some people, I remember one in particular that I helped come out of a wheelchair. There was a gentleman I knew personally that because of the work I did with him, he ended up getting an extra 17 years of life. Now, this was after the doctors had said, sorry, he's hooped. Say your goodbyes, we can't do anything. Okay. Now, that sounds like science fiction. Well, I will tell you, the two people that it was most important to have already passed away, so good luck talking to them. If you're working medium, you may be able to, but I'm not giving you the name anyway. But we have to realize that working together, we can make this a better world. Okay. Now, I've got a list of different projects here that have to be dealt with. Okay. And I'm just working on the first one. But once I get done that, I've got a whole pile more. Not the least of which is working on the second printing. I'm going back through the Birth of the Wolf Pack, correcting minor little complications, and prepping to put the pictures inside. Okay, starting probably in the next couple of weeks, I should hear back from my artist and we'll get back to work on the internal pictures. But that second printing, I already know because of the number of pictures he's got to do, which I think is about 30 pictures. Okay, so I'm looking at least a year down the road before I can get to the second printing, which, by the way, does mean this. The first printing is already out. End of an Epoch will be coming out in the next few months. Okay, the Return to Paradise will be coming out, I'm hoping, the end of 2022 or very early in 2023. Okay, now that said, that should coincide just about the right time to come out with the second printing of the Birth of the Wolfpack, which when it comes out will have internal pictures in it. Granted, they'll be black and white, they'll be line drawings, but still far better than what's in there right now, which is a neat little page statement that says, this page is blank for future printings. Meaning, I'd already planned it. But the imperative thing I came up with is I had all this worked out. Now, all of a sudden, I've got another book for way down the road that I undoubtedly will start making notes on when I'm sitting there. Okay, one of the things that I absolutely have to do at this point, because I just managed to get things worked out. Now, my office is set up nicely. Okay, where I know what I'm looking at. You know, not perfect by any functional stretch, but at least it's working. You know, yeah, I'm moving stuff around. Even these little thing here is these little pictures, or these little figures. Okay, I've changed one other thing around here. What did I do with it, though? Right here, I do believe. Nope, not that one. Must have written on the back. There it is. Yeah, I wrote something on the back. This little sheet here, now this is only technically a list of things to do. What I've done is, because I've got all these figures that I've got to paint, and it's a self-imposed job, I admit that. But in order to make that happen, I've actually gone through, I took a look at this character. Okay, that's actually a hill giant out of D&D, Dungeons and Dragons. And I've worked out the different paint scale for all of the bits and pieces that you see that aren't painted. Okay, I did the same thing. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of characters here. This is one of those things about getting organized and the fact that I do way too many things at once. We have another character. This is a dwarf. Actually, this would be a character representing a little dwarf by the name of Scraphammer Iron Fist. Okay. Then we have this one representing Casey herself. And this little one here representing Kathy, which is one of the primary barmaids in Casey's Bar and Grill. This is the way that my mind works. Okay, and this is why I say get that list together. Of course, put the list down again. This list here. Get that list of different tasks. Keep them to 15 minutes to half an hour. By doing that, you will manage to get things accomplished. You'll start feeling like you actually got ahead. Okay, now as I was saying, several centuries back, okay, it was attempted to get people, and all that was really attempted was be nice to each other. That worked out really well. You guys are still treating each other like garbage. Okay, not all of you. In all fairness, I'm a firm believer that 95% of the people out there are decent people doing their best to be helpful to other people, doing their best to take care of their part of the world. The problem is that the people that are sitting in charge right now are making it very difficult for that to happen. Okay, and I haven't quite figured out why they're doing that, but that does seem to be the way it's working. Do hope I didn't do that. I shouldn't put those there. Good, still recording. You know, I've always been a firm believer that we can work together. I was raised very simply. That you help the people next to you. The easiest way to keep the crime rate down in your area is get to know your neighbors in a positive fashion. You minimize the negative, you maximize the positive. But I will tell you, there's a staggering number of religions out there that the first words out of their mouth, right? God did this, the spiritual guy, the spiritual icon that we follow is this way. Fear that creator. Well, I'm telling you, fear is a great way to hold yourself back. Okay. In simple terms, I grew up being absolutely terrified of dogs and horses. Now, the dogs I could understand. But since I overcame my fear of dogs, I have a lot of fun when I get to meet them. I don't own one, but then I live in an apartment where I can't. I also used to fear horses. Well, I missed out on a lot. I could have learned how to ride. They're beautiful animals. They're majestic animals. The one thing I didn't come to fear, okay, is this idea that most people are taught you should fear. Fear death. Well, get over it. You're going to die. Sooner or later, your body will pack up. It's not whether you're going to die. You are going to. It's how you live that's going to matter. Okay. If you're looking to leave a name for yourself, be nice to other people. I mean, yes, you can go extremes and be real nasty to people, and people will remember you for decades. Or in some cases, centuries. But let's face it, there are lots of people that get remembered for being absolutely brutal to people. Okay. And there are a staggering number of people that get remembered for being nice. But it is true. The nasty people get remembered more readily because what I found is nasty behavior, bad behavior, is full of pump and bother. It makes immediate reactions. It alters the path right off the bat. Okay. It really does. It makes a big impact. The problem is that something built out of anger, something built because of fear, does not have the impact on the whole. Okay, there are times when it can work, but I will tell you, on the whole, it creates a lot of stress. Okay, and many people, if we go back to, I think it was in the 1800s, down in the States, there was a feud going on between the Hatfields and McCoys. Most people know about it, at least from what I understand. But the Hatfields and McCoys themselves, because it lasted generations, they didn't even recall what started the war. Okay, same as the Bloods and the Crips, which are street gangs down in well, I shouldn't call them street gangs because they're a lot bigger than that. Okay, but I do not know what started their fight, but it is still carrying on. Now we can go into the real silly ones, okay, where you have the churches upset with each other and you've got the politicians upset with each other. Well, here's the thing. If you quit spending so much time being mad at each other, and you listen and you come to an understanding of where the similarities are, there's going to be differences. But when you learn where the similarities are and you work together, you can accomplish phenomenal things. I was living a little south of here, about an hour's drive south of where I am now, 30 years ago. And, I watch buildings go up now, and it takes months to put buildings up. Okay, now I understand it taking months, taking time for the concrete foundation to dry. I understand that. Once that is done, though, if you're not working with concrete for the rest of it, to me it makes no functional sense why it should take months. I watched a temple, and this is something to be said really in deference to the efforts that the Jehovah's Witnesses in this area put to use. I watched their grand hall. Once they had the foundation poured, I watched them work together to put a grand hall up at 7 minutes to a wall. Now, this tells me, yes, they had a staggering number of people, but they had people that were cooperating with each other with a singular purpose in mind. Okay, now they put a hall up in under a day. Okay. Like they put the superstructure up in under a day. Now, with that in mind, okay, why can't people work together and actually make this happen instead of spending where we've got housing problems? Why take months and months and months to put houses together when they can clearly be put up more quickly? Okay. Now, yes, it does take that funny little thing, cooperation, and a lack of that funny little thing called greed, which are two massive complications right now. Okay, people are so caught up in the material world that they've missed out on the entirety of what is going on. One of the big things I've noticed, okay, and now that we're in December, I've got no problem talking about this. I do my best for the most part to leave Christmas totally alone until December. But here's the thing, whether you've got money or you don't, whether you've got a roof over your head or you don't, Christmas is going to happen. It's going to get here. And, I talk to some people that go, oh, we don't celebrate Christmas. I hate to be the one to pop into a no, I don't. But, yeah, you probably do. Do you have, or does your community have, a common meal with a common event at that period of time? Okay. Now, granted, I know in my family, Christmas, the common meal is turkey. Okay. We sit down, we have turkey, we have gifts and what have you. It's not the material thing, it's the people. Okay. Best gift I ever got, well, it's the one that really left the biggest impact. Okay. Years ago, I was having a lot of trouble with finances. And my older brother, what he did was he took a great big box that was probably this big across, that big cube-ish, filled it up with cans and boxes of food, right? He wrapped each of the cans individually, put them in the box, wrapped the box up, right? Now, that gift didn't cost a whole lot. Okay, it wasn't a whole bunch of electronics, it wasn't even books. It was strictly food. But it made such a massive impact on me. It told me so much about what was really, really, really important, which was my brother had actually given me a gift that helped me out for months when I didn't have the money to do anything with it. He didn't give me money. He didn't ask me what I wanted. He just went that way. And the reality is, Christmas is not it's not about the toys. It's not about the lights. It's not about the gifts. But I will tell you, the gifts started 2,000 years ago. Okay. And for those of you that decide you don't believe in Santa Claus, well, here's a neat, cute little part for you. Do your research. The man that Santa Claus was based on, that whole concept, was a real person. Okay. Now, that being said, as I mentioned, working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. And I very strongly encourage you and ask for your help to spread this message to everybody. Friends, family, strangers, it doesn't matter. Hit the subscribe button on our channel. Okay, so you can get the rest of the information coming out. And join me on this massive journey to straighten out and to get the world turned back around to a decent point. Where most of us can be prosperous. That said, I will leave you alone for today. I will be back again tomorrow. Okay. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.